Alright, hello and welcome back. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite system and network attacker. And today we are going through the Windows event logs module inside of the SOC level 1 pathway of tryhackme. And this is inside the endpoint security monitoring module. I guess we're going through the sysinternals room inside the endpoint security monitoring module of the SOC level 1 pathway. Real quick before we jump into the content of the room, I just wanted to kindly and humbly request that if you've learned anything from me, if you've learned anything from this channel, if you learn anything from this video, if you enjoy it at all, and you want to show your support, it would mean the world to me if you could like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and maybe even comment, because all of those activities increase the likelihood that the YouTube algorithm will find the channel and will get more reach, and we can expand and grow the community. That's the only thing that I ask. I do all these videos for free, sometimes multiple times per day, but at least once a day. And it would just mean the world to me if you could support by liking, subscribing, and commenting, and even turning on the notification bell, because you will get notified the next time that a video comes out. And if you're starting to become a cybersecurity analyst, or if you're starting to become an ethical hacker, all of these posts and all of these videos will apply to you directly, and you'll get a lot of good value from it. That is my promise to you. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the first task of the room. Okay, so what are event logs? This is a Wikipedia definition, and I mean, you can kind of just tell from the name itself what it might be. But event logs record events taking place in the execution of a system to provide an audit trail that can be used to understand the activity of the system and to diagnose problems. They are essential to understand the activities of complex systems, particularly in applications that have little user interaction, such as servers, right? This definition would apply to system administrators, IT techs, desktop engineers, cybersecurity analysts, right? If the endpoint is experiencing an issue, the event logs can be queried to see clues about what led to the problem. The operating system by default writes messages to these logs. As defenders, blue teamers, there is another use case for event logs. Combining log file entries from multiple sources can also be useful. This approach, in combination with statistical analysis, may yield correlations between seemingly unrelated events on different servers. This is where SIEMs, security information and event management, such as Splunk and Elastic, come into play. These are applications or softwares, we can call them appliances. They essentially process logs, right? So if you don't know anything what a SIEM is used for, this is kind of the visual. So the main features is that it helps with detecting threats, investigating, and time to respond. So the response time is a lot shorter because it actually parses and goes through a lot of these logs for you, and when it detects something, it'll pop up a notification. It'll say, hey, something might be wrong. So additional features would be basic security monitoring, advanced threat detection, forensics and incident response, log collection, so on and so forth. So SIEMs are very, very popular in the cybersecurity world, especially as a security analyst. And even though accessing the remote machine's event logs is possible, it will not be feasible in a large environment. Instead, one can view the logs from all of the endpoints, appliances, and everything inside a SIEM, and this will allow you to query the logs from multiple devices instead of manually connecting to a single device. So Windows is not the only operating system that uses a logging system. Of course, Linux and Mac OS do it as well, and probably every other operating system. And on Linux, it's known as syslog. In this room, we're going to be focusing on Windows, so it's going to be Windows event logs. The room machine has already been started. If you are using this room and you want to RDP into it, meaning remote desktop into it, you can go ahead and do that. It says, please deploy the machine, and also you can use the attack box and Remina to connect to the remote machine. Please make sure that it's deployed before proceeding. So I don't think I need to start the attack box because the machine itself started, so we can kind of continue from here, and Hopefully we won't need to use the attack box. If we do, I'll just start it up, no big deal. So let's jump into the next one, which is Event Viewer. All right, Event Viewer. The event logs are not text files that can be viewed using a text editor. However, the raw data can be translated into XML using the Windows API. The events in these logs are stored in a proprietary binary format with EVT/EVTX extension. The log files with the EVTX file extension typically reside inside the WinEvent logs directory. Elements of a Windows event log are going to be the system logs, security logs. These are what elements form event logs in Windows system. So there's a lot of different elements that can form different event logs. So we have the system logs that associate with the actual operating system. You have security logs that record anything that might be log on and off activities, or anything that might go against the audit security policies or compliance issues, stuff like that. There's application logs that have to do with specific applications installed on a system. Directory service events that has to do with the Active Directory activities and changes. And of course, file replication service events. So if something was done during the sharing of group policies or logon scripts from where they could be accessed by users through the client. Then DNS event logs for the domain name service. DNS servers use these logs to record domain events. And then there's custom logs that you can even create or try to start logging by using your own parameters. So they're logged by applications that require custom data storage. This allows applications to control the log size or attach other parameters such as access control lists and other things. So under this categorization, event logs can even go into further classification into types. And there are types that describe the activity in the event log, and there are 5 types. So there's an error, a warning, information, success audit, and failed audit. So an error is basically an event that indicates that there was a such loss of data or loss of functionality if a service fails to load. Warning is an event that is not necessarily significant, but may indicate a possible future problem. If a disk space is low, there's a warning event. Information, an event that describes the successful operation of an application, for example, when a network driver loads successfully. Success audit, so when you run an audit and it does complete successfully, you get that. So a user's successful attempt to log on to the system. And failure audit is when an audit security access attempt that fails. For example, if a user tries to access a drive and it fails. You can do this, you can view these things in 3 different ways. We have the event viewer, the Wevtutil, and then we have the Get-WinEvent, that's a PowerShell. So Wevtutil is command line, event viewer is a GUI, and PowerShell gets Get-WinEvent. And we have our event viewer right here that has 3 panes. And probably at this point we can start this up. So if I go into the start section right here and do a little bit of a search right here, I can open up event viewer and we can actually look at it on this machine that we're on. And there we go, desktop app, and there it is. So as it says right here, there's the pane on the left, which is the hierarchical tree of listings of event logs that are provided. The pane in the middle is the general overview of the summary, and then the pane on the right is the actions pane and the things that we can do, the actions that we can take. This is still kind of loading, but that's basically what the event viewer looks like. And we could do custom views and drop that down, and it'll show server roles and drop that down, so on and so forth. There's Windows logs, application security setup system, forwarded events. There's application and service logs and subscriptions. Even to work with subscriptions, service must be running and configured. No, we don't want to do that right now. But that's essentially it, right? So we have these 4 hierarchicals. I know you could just click on the top one, event viewer local, and it should show you all of this stuff. So summary of administrative events, recently viewed nodes, log summary, so on and so forth. The standard logs that we had earlier defined on the left pane are visible, and we just see that. The following section in the application services logs, so we can drill down to right here. So if it goes into, where is it? So we go to Windows logs, and then open that up, and then you can go into PowerShell, but that doesn't show. So it says drill down on Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational. So where would that be? Application and service logs, my bad. So application and service logs, here we go. And then we got Microsoft. We can open that up. Windows, we can open that up. And then inside this, there's all of these things inside Microsoft. And so we would go to P to try to find PowerShell. And there's PowerShell. And so it opens it up right here. And then operational is right here. And you could also navigate by this, right? You could just double click on operational and it'll open up all the stuff inside the operational. And so now it says right click on operational and then properties. So I could right click on operational and then go to properties, and it will open this up for us. And this is what this looks like. Within properties, you see the log location, which is right here. You can see the log size, when it was created, modified, last accessed. And within the properties window, you can also see the maximum set log size and what action to take once the criteria are met. This concept is known as log rotation. These are discussions held with corporations of various sizes. How long does it take to keep logs, and when it's permissible to overwrite them with new data. So log size is right here. So this one in particular is 2.07 megabytes. And after that, it's going to rotate and it's going to create a new log. On the clear log button at the bottom right, which is right over here, we can, there are legitimate reasons to use this button, such as during security maintenance, but adversaries will likely attempt to clear the logs to go undetected. This is not the only method to remove the event logs for any given event provider. So it's not just GUI that you could do it from or that button, right? So you can do a lot of different ways to clear event logs. Focus your attention on the middle pane. Remember from previous descriptions that this pane will display events specified to a selected provider, in this case the PowerShell operational. So we can close this out and we can go right here, PowerShell operational. That's the middle pane right here, and all of these things. So information level, verbose level, information, there's a warning. So let's see. Oh, okay, well, I don't want to get sidetracked here. That's probably going to ask us a question that has something to do with this later. So from the above image, notice that the event provider's name and number of events logged. In this case, there are 44 events logged. And for what? For PowerShell, right? You might see a different number. No worries. Each column of these pages represents a particular type. So we have level, which is this thing. It highlights what it is, and so it's information, right? Date and time, the source, the event ID, and the task category. The middle pane has a split view. The more information is displayed in the bottom of the half of the middle pane for the event that you click on, which is right here. So if I click on verbose, it'll open that up. If I try to find that warning sign or warning one, I could probably do it by sorting by name. And then we can go all the way to the top, or well, all the way down. And there should be one that says warning. I know I saw it. It's impossible for it not to exist, because I definitely did see it. And I know you saw it too. So it can't be that it doesn't exist. Maybe it was in a different section. There we go. Here are the warnings. So there's a warning. How is that? I guess by level, it means that it's going to go by the severity level, probably. So it shows the warning. It's not going by alphabetical. So anyways, warnings are at the top right here. And so we have, what is it? 6 different warning messages. So we can see that. And then inside that, there's going to be the general. And the general view is the default view. And the details view has 2 options, friendly view and XML view. And so we have this, and has detected an error in snap-in and will unload the snap-in and continue running. And here it is. I guess that's what that is. Okay. And snap-in unavailable. Uh-oh. I may have just crashed our little system here. Okay. So there's that. I'm gonna have to restart it when we're done. Then we have the actions pane, which is on the right hand side of this thing. And so you can open saved log with the actions pane. This is useful if the remote machine can't be accessed. The logs can be provided to the analyst, and we'll do this in a little bit. And I think this is the log that we're probably trying to access later, the merged log on the desktop. The create custom view and filter current log are nearly identical. The only difference between the two is that the by log and by source radio buttons are grayed out. What is the reason for that? The filter you can make with this specific action only relates to the current log, hence no reason for by log or by source to be enabled. Why are these actions beneficial? Let's say you don't want all the events associated and you're only interested in 4104 events. That's where these two options come in. And so to view logs from another computer, click Event Viewer Local, which was that very top button that we had, and right click on it and connect to another computer, and you could do that. So that is the general overview of Event Viewer. So let's try to get a little bit familiar with it. So it says use the Event Viewer to analyze Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational log. So we're gonna open that back up to exactly where we were, and I think that button is the shortcut. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So we're going to go to application logs, we're going to go to Microsoft, we're going to go to Windows, and then from here we're going to look for PowerShell, and we're going to open up PowerShell and operational logs. Okay. What is the event ID for the earliest recorded event? So it's all from 220 and then 2020. So it goes all the way back. And so this is probably the earliest one. And the event ID is 40961, I believe. So let's see. 40961. And that is indeed the answer. Filter on event ID 4104. What was the second command executed in the PowerShell session? So we can go and do that inside this actions pane, where there is a button for us to be able to filter the current log. So the let's see, the create and custom view and filter current log are nearly identical, and they're inside the actions pane on the right side here. So let's see if we can find the filter current log, and we want to go, I think it's actually logging this specific one. So if I actually go into the 4104 event ID, then I do filter current log, and it will do that. And so it says filter that. What was the second command executed in the PowerShell? So I guess I can just do all of these things, and we'll check all of these buttons right here, because it doesn't really, yeah, I'm just gonna do it, why not? So we're gonna filter all of these things that are relevant to this thing. If I click OK, it will show that. And so event 4104, and yeah, so these are all of these that are event 4104. And now the question is asking, what was the second command executed in the PowerShell session? So if I go and it says execute a remote command, and that's the first one, 10:06, and this is all going, yeah, it's going so further. So we want the second command, so I'm guessing it's the very one right down here, right? That's what it seems like. Nope, that is not it. So we need to go all the way back to the top to get to 4104, and then find the second command. And I'm probably going to look at this hint just to understand. Click the script block text. Okay, so this is what I did not do correctly. When you click on filter current log, I don't think this part of it mattered as much, so that was an interesting test. Right here, where it was event IDs, previously it said all event IDs, and that's the part that we need to change the number to. So 4104, press OK, and it only now shows everything that has to do with event ID 4104 always. And so if we go to the second earliest, which is from the bottom, and we click on that, this is the command right here. So who am I is going to be the command. So we press who am I, and that is our answer. So what is the task category for event ID 4104? And the task category would be down here. So it says execute a remote command and analyze the Windows PowerShell log. What is the task category for event ID 800? So we'll go back again and we'll change this now to 800, and there's nothing here. It says number of events 712, so I guess it hasn't shown it. Analyze the Windows PowerShell log, and what is the event ID for 800? Okay, so if it's not in this one, I guess there's another thing. So there's Windows PowerShell, and there's probably something under W. There's Windows PowerShell maybe down here. Oh yeah, it is. It's all the way down here. So Windows PowerShell, that's the one that we're looking at. So we're going to filter this log for event ID 800. And the task category for this is going to be pipeline execution details. And there it goes. Okay, cool. We got it. And now we can move on to the next task, which is going to be Wevtutil.exe. Wevtutil.exe. All right, you played around a bit with Event Viewer. Imagine you have to sit there and manually sift through hundreds or even thousands of events, which is not fun, no. It would be nice if you could write scripts to do this for you, yes. And so let's look at this exe. Per Microsoft, it enables you to retrieve information about event logs and publishers. You can also use this command to install and uninstall event manifests to run queries and export, archive, all that stuff. So as with this, as with any tool, we can access the help file to see what it does. And we can just do this command to see what it is, and it's PowerShell. So let's run it real quick. So wevtutil.exe / enter. And here's all of the options that are available through this. List log names, login confirmation, event publishers, uninstall an event, get log status information, export a log, clear a log, all that stuff. So under usage, you are provided a brief command of how to use the tool, which is right up here. And it's like this. So Wevtutil, the command, and then the argument, and then option value, so on and so forth. So the Wevtutil command is going to be one of these things. You could probably do either the acronym here or actually do enum logs or whatever. And then the argument would be, whatever you want to analyze or export or do anything like that. So as an example, let's see, we can find common options that can be used with Windows Event Utility. The common options are R for remote, and that would be the value. Options IM and UM do not support this. Then there's username, there's password, authentication, Unicode, so on and so forth. It says, notice at the bottom, there's a command /question. This will provide additional information specific to a command. So we can use it to get more information on the command query events, which is QE. So I could go here and do can I type or, yeah. Okay, maybe bring this up a little bit further. So Wevtutil query E, and then do this, and now it should give us more about the query, right? So usage, and so on and so forth. So look over the information with the help menu to fully understand how to use this, and you have enough information to use the tool. Time to answer some questions. It's always recommended to look into the tool and its related information at your own leisure. We can get more documentation about it. So how many log names are in the machine? So what is it going to be? Pipe the EL command to the PowerShell measure object commandlet. Okay, so let's see what that's going to look like. So if it's going to be the el command, so Wevtutil.exe pipe, and then measure object 1071, and that is the right answer. Okay, what event files would be read when using the query events command? So it's at the top right here from the previous command that we ran, which is the Wevtutil QE whatever. So event log file, or structured query. So it's going to be event log file, structured query. Very good. What option would you use to provide a path to a log file? When we look at the options here, it says if true, path is the full path to a log file. Path is the full path that contains a structured query. So this is probably it. So LF or log file, I think, is that how you say it? So it would be for LF true. I got it. Okay, so yeah, that's it. That's what it is. So LF, if true, path is the full path. So LF true, that's the option. And that's how that runs. What is the value for /q? The value for /q is an XPath. So XPath query. Very good. The questions below are based on the command wevtil QE application yada yada yada. So let's run that command. Wevtutil QE application C3 true and F text. Okay, so there we go. What is the log name? So let's go here. Log name is application, as it says right here. So we can do that. What is the RD option for? So if we go and check that out, let's see what we can find. So I believe instead of actually looking for wevtutil, and then the RD options for that, it would actually still be under the QE, because that's what we were running, and it was one of the options under QE. So when you do that, it brings all the options back again, and then RD is right here. And so it gives a very straight up answer. So event read direction would end up probably being that answer. So event read direction, and that is it. And so now we can also look at the C option, which is right down here. It says maximum number of events to read. And that is it, maximum number of events to read. There we go. Okay, cool. So there is that specific task. We just went through Wevtutil, and this was again a very very overhead view, kind of general view of this whole thing. As you can see, there is plenty of things that can be done with it, and I mean, we didn't even really analyze the output of the application thing that we just read. We just know that we read an application named application, or a log, a file, a log named application. That's all we know that we read. And we read it with the redirection option, as well as the maximum number of events to read option. And the maximum number of events was 3 that we read, and we did read in the event direction, I guess. So that's basically all that was for the Wevtutil.exe. Now we're going to move on to the next task, which is Get-WinEvent, which is a PowerShell command. All right, the Get-WinEvent, it's a tool from PowerShell commandlet. What it does, it gets events from event logs and event tracing log files on local and remote computers. Provides information on event logs and event log providers. Additionally, you can combine numerous events from multiple sources into a single command and filter using XPath queries, structured XML, and hash table queries. The Get-WinEvent commandlet replaced the Get-Event-Log commandment. As with any tool, it's good to practice and read the Get Help documentation to be acquainted with its capabilities. please refer to the Get Help information online at Docs Microsoft. So let's look at a couple of examples. Get all logs from a computer. So it would be Get-WinEvent and list log. And so if we ran that over here, let me see if clear screen, okay, it does work. So Get-WinEvent and list log with an asterisk. And look at that. That's all the logs. So there we go. The next one is get event log providers and log names. So same command. I'm just going to clear the screen. It's going to be get win event and list provider and press enter. And look at that. That's a lot of output as well, and it's probably going to keep going. Log filtering. So that's probably a good idea to learn how to filter some of these logs. So we are going to run this for the application log file that we were just looking at. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at an object where the provider name matches WLMS. So and there it is. And so we're going to run that where object is not, oh, I misspelled object. Of course I did. And so we're going to go and fix the spelling of object. And that should run. And there we go. Okay, so we got it. And so the response is exactly this. So provider name, and it literally gives us the same exact response. Actually, the ID numbers are a little bit different. So that's probably something that's unique to us. And we don't have a level display name either. Ours is just blank. So that's different from the example that's on the screen. If you're ever working on Windows evaluation virtual machine that is cut off from the internet eventually, it will shut down every hour, okay? When working with large event logs per Microsoft, it's inefficient to send objects down the pipeline to a where object command. The use of the Get-WinEvent command line filter hash table parameter is recommended to filter event logs. We can achieve the same results as above by running the following command, which is this thing. So I'm going to run this command. I don't know if I can paste this. Let me see if I could just paste this. That might be useful. I can't paste it. Okay, great. Let me see. Control V. No, that doesn't work either. So let me type this out real quick. Oh, I see. I should have pressed enter in that thing, and it would actually keep it open for us, so we can keep doing that. Interesting. Okay. Now I learned a new thing. And then put that closing bracket and press enter. But it still gave me an error message. So it's like, what the hell? So log name, application, filter hash table, all of that stuff is fine. So I don't exactly know what the problem is here. So Get-WinEvent is not an event provider on the local host computer that matches WLMS. So I guess we don't have it, which is odd because we did see it in the previous query that we ran. So that's kind of an odd thing that's happening here. The specified providers do not write events to any of the specified logs, and the parameter is incorrect. Let's see what I can do with a little bit of research and see if I can find anything different. From what I understand, I actually did this correctly, so it's kind of it's a little bit odd that it's not working. I do want to move on because I do have to make good time with this recording. So if you find out why that didn't work, please let me know. That would be very, very interesting for me to learn. The syntax of the hash table is as follows, and we see it right here. It could be very possible that I didn't have a semicolon in between those things, so that could be one of the reasons why it didn't work. So I will do this one more time, and I will put a semicolon to separate these two, and maybe that will be the specific reason why it does work. Nope, still doesn't work. Okay, so guidelines for defining a hash table are begin the hash table with an @ sign and close the hash table braces. Enter one or more key value pairs for the content of the hash table. Use an equal sign to separate each key from its value. For example, this, if you don't need to use a semicolon if you separate each key value with a new line, as in the screenshot above. Below is the table that displays the accepted key value pairs for Get-WinEvent filter hash table parameter. And so we have all of these things right here. And we used which ones? We used the log name and we used the provider name. And both of those are over here. When building a query with a hash table, Microsoft recommends making the hash table one key value pair at a time. Event Viewer can provide quick information on what you need to build the hash value. So it says right here, so log name, application, source, MS installer, event ID, level information. So log name, there's also something for the user ID, the ID itself, that would be probably the event, the level of it, the provider name, so on and so forth. So that's all there. Based on this information, the hash table will look as follows. Get-WinEvent, filter hash table, add log name application, provider name, MS installer, ID 11707. For more information, we can go and check the official documentation. And since we're on the topic, here's a command that you might find helpful used by Mubix. And so Get-WinEvent, the hash table, which would be the log name, Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational, ID 4104. That's the one that we looked at in the actual event viewer. Select object, property message, select string pattern, secure string. And that is all we get without going into the online documentation. So we're probably going to need to use the online documentation for these, as it says. So first it says execute the command from example 1 as is. What are the names of the logs created to open SSH? So if we went to example 1 right here, as is. So I'm going to write that one more time, and it's going to be a pretty long list. So we're going to do this again. And we're looking for open SSH. Oh, thankfully it's at the very, very bottom right here. So that's pretty convenient. So it says, what are the names of the logs related to OpenSSH? So we have two. It says OpenSSH admin and OpenSSH operational. So we're going to do that. There we go. Execute the command from example 8 instead of the string policy. Search for PowerShell. What is the name of the third log provider? Okay, so we are on the documentation page on Microsoft, and I went down to example 8, and this is the thing right here. So it's Get-WinEvent list provider policy. So instead of using policy, we're going to use what did they say? PowerShell. So Get-WinEvent list provider PowerShell. And there we go. So it says, what is the name of the third log provider? So if we go down here, let's see, we got the first one, the second one, and the third one. The name is a very long name. I really hope I can copy this. Control C maybe? Hopefully Control C will actually let me copy. So let's see if that copied it. Oh, it did, thankfully. Okay, so it's not a right-click thing, so it's Control-C that probably copies. That's great, okay. Execute the command from example 9. We're going to use Microsoft Windows PowerShell as the log provider. How many event IDs are displayed for this event provider? So example 9, and it's going to say Microsoft Windows PowerShell as the log provider. So I'm just going to open this up in a separate command, or in a separate window right here, just so I can view it while I'm typing. I'm gonna try to copy and paste it, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel like this might not work. So we're gonna do this, copy that. Let's go here. If we could actually paste this, that would be amazing. I can paste it, that's amazing. Okay, so there we go, and then measure, right? They said measure, what is it, measure object commandlet? Yeah, pipe to the measure object commandlet. So measure object. There we go. That was nice. Okay, I'm excited. Control C, control. Oh, but it's not right. The answer is not right. Oh, because I used the wrong list provider. So that's my bad. Okay, so I got to do this, and then I got to change it to, what is it? We're going to use Microsoft Windows PowerShell. And then we are going to change or add to the very end. We're going to pipe in measure object. Okay, 192, that should be it. Very good. How do you specify the number of events to display? So if we go through here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a find for events, and there are, oh, it's right here. It's literally right in the very first one. So get events from an event log, syntax, max events. That's probably it. So I'm going to do dash max events. There we go. Nice. Cool. When using the filter hash table parameter and filtering by level, what is the value for informational? And check the online help documentation. So filtering by level, filter hash table, informational. So let's see, maybe we can do informational. There's nothing on here. Filter hash table. I'll just do the full thing. And what is the value for informational? Okay, so it's actually on a different page. So when you go to, it's under example 17. It gives us a couple of links right here. And this one says creating the Get-WinEvent queries with filter hash table, and it opens this up, and then you go, it's almost towards the bottom of the page where we have this thing right here. And so it says informational, the value is 4. So we're gonna go here, click on 4, press enter, and that is it. Very good. So we have finished the Get-WinEvent task, and now we're gonna move on to XPath Queries. XPath Queries, now we're going to examine filtering events with XPath, the W3C created XPath or XML path language in full to provide a standard syntax and semantics for addressing parts of an XML document and manipulating strings, numbers, and booleans. The Windows event log supports a subset of XPath 1.0. This is what an example of that looks like. The following query selects all events from the channel or log file. So XPath query, system level 3, time created, and then this thing I believe is the actual time created. Based on the documentation, XPath level query starts with the asterisk. I just drew a blank. The asterisk or event. The above code block confirms this, but how do we construct the rest of the query? Luckily, the event viewer can help us with that. So we can create an XPath query for the same event from the previous section. Note that both Wevtutil and Get-Event support XPath queries at event filters. So if we go and choose under details, now this was unfortunate, because every time that I tried to do this, it would crash. When I would try to look at the detailed view, it would crash. So if I click on details tab and select XML view radio button, don't worry if the log details you're viewing are different. The point is understanding how to use it. So I guess so when you click on XML view, it would be the very top piece that is the event, and then the first tag is the starting point, and you can be an asterisk or the word event. The command so far looks like Get-WinEvent, log name application, filter XPath, asterisk. And then the next piece is the system, and the next tag is the system, and the Get-WinEvent log name application filter XPath asterisk system is what it's going to look like so far. Then we it's best practice to explicitly use the keyword system, but you can use an asterisk instead, as with the event keyword. The query filter XPath is still valid, so asterisk / asterisk. The event ID is 100, so we're going to plug that into the command, which is going to look like system event ID 100, and this will, I guess this is the final piece, right? So Get-WinEvent log name application filter XPath event ID 100, and it shows us all the information about event ID 100. When using Wevtutil and XPath to query for the same event log and ID, this is the result. So this previous one was Get-WinEvent, and the next one is Wevtutil QE. So we're querying the application, and the query itself is going to be similar to the other one, except the event ID is not in brackets here. Everything is inside a quote here. On this situation, this is no quotes, and you have the asterisk system. The event ID is inside brackets, and then text and count 1. So we just want the first count. And the 2 additional parameters that we used in above command just to retrieve one event and not to contain any XML tags. So that's why we said text. If you want to query different elements, such as the provider name, the syntax will be different. To filter on the provider, we need to use the name attribute of provider. So this is the commandlet from PowerShell for Get-WinEvent, log name application, filter XPath, system provider name, and then that's what it looks like. And that's how you create that. And if you want to combine 2 queries, the answer is yes. The provider name is WLMS, and the output, there are 2 event IDs. So there's event 101. So we could do Get-WinEvent log name application, filter XPath, system event 101, and system provider name is WLMS. And that's what it would look like. No, this is not that, because they don't have the event ID in there. But this one has the filter XPath system provider name, and so we got that. Let's discuss how to create it for the event data that have elements within event data. It's going to be a little bit different. It doesn't always contain information. Below is the XML view of the event for which we will build our XPath query. And so we do have event data in this particular case, and there's a bunch of things in there, including target username. And so what the command is going to look like is Get-WinEvent log name, security is the name of the log, filter XPath, asterisk event data, because we are going inside the event data section, data, name, and then the name of the data is target username, and that equals system, because it's the target username is system. So that's how you read that. And so that would end up being this particular thing. Max events is going to be 1 because we are using the Get-WinEvent and not the Wevtutil. So we would use max event 1. Wevtutil is the /C1. That's what that would be, the equivalent of max events here. And so the max events parameter was used, and it was set to 1, so it'll return 1. So now we have enough knowledge to create it, I guess. So now we are going to combine this knowledge to get a query on WLMS events with a system time of this much. So let's see what we can come up with. All right, so our hint gives us some useful information here. So the key XML elements to be used are the provider name, which is WLMS, and the system time created. And so we're going to use both of those things. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this entire section, and I'm going to delete the word and from it, and then I'm going to paste our values in there. So we're going to do this. First, we need to do Get-WinEvent the way that everything else looks like. So we're going to do Get-WinEvent, and we are filtering to filter from a system with a system time of so on and so forth. I guess it would be inside the log name security and the filter XPath option. And what now we're going to do is we're going to paste those 2 values that we had, which is right here beautifully. And so on the inside of the filter time, I'm going to put this thing. So copy that and click here, And this should paste it. Perfect. It pasted it right in the middle of that. And then inside the name of the provider, we're going to put WLMS. And I do believe that I have to wrap all of this inside of quotes. So we're going to put a quote around this one. And we're going to put a quote around the very end of it. Like so. Okay, so now we have that. And it says, what is the query to find, so on and so forth. So now that I have this entire query, I believe I'm just going to copy this full thing. And let's see if I paste it here, if that'll be correct. That is correct. Look at that. Okay, so using the Get-WinEvent and XPath, what is the query to find a username named Sam with a logon event ID of 4720? The answer to this one is going to be a combination of this particular command right here, as well as the one that we just saw up here where it has the system event ID. So we're going to combine system event ID and the target username. So we're going to do Get-WinEvent, logon, log name, security, filter, XPath, all of this, and then we're just going to change the username to Sam, and then we're going to put and. So you notice how there's double quotes and then there's that single quote that applies to this thing right here. So we're going to do and then from there we're going to add the system event ID parameter as well. So right here you see how there's an and it's been separated. So that's basically what we're going to do. So we're going to go here and we're going to create this whole thing. I'm going to create it here first just to kind of make sure, because I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little red mark that comes here if it's incorrect. So if I do, I don't know, something, I don't know, is that even right? That's not right. It hasn't given me the red mark, but it gives you a red mark. Essentially, when you're typing a command up and you don't have the right command on or anything, it'll give you a notification just by putting a red instance over there that, yeah, you know, this is, there's an error here. And so from that, we can kind of make sure whether or not this is good or not, right? So if I can go here and do the person's name is going to be Sam, and then go here and press and then do one of those things, then we can add the second option. So 4720 is the system ID that we want. So we're just going to copy this section right here, and we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that over here. And inside the system ID, we're going to just change that to 4721, right? 4721, that's what it was. 4720. So that's what the command should look like at the very end. Get-WinEvent, log name, security, filter, XPath, event name by target username is going to be Sam, and the system event ID should be 4720. And that should work. So does this even exist? Let's see if we can even search for this. Seems like it doesn't exist. But for now, I'm going to just copy this and go over here and paste it. And that is the event. But I guess it doesn't work because maybe there is no such person there. So based on the previous query, how many results are returned? Okay, so we can enter this. So press enter. Run for me. Oh, there we go. We got it. We got 2 results. So boom. And based on the output from question number 2, what is the message? And the message is a user account was create, I guess. I think it's supposed to say created, but a user account was create. Okay, that's fine. And then still working with Sam as the user, what time was event ID 4724 recorded? And so we got 4724. So same thing. So we're gonna just do an up. Now we're gonna just change 4724 to the event, and it's gonna give us that. And now we have our event time. So I'm gonna try to copy this section, and from here we're gonna go and try to, whoops, We're going to paste it in here. And there is that. And what is the provider name? So let's try to find that. The provider name is right here. Microsoft Windows Security Auditing. And we'll just take that whole thing and we'll copy that and then come over here and paste it. And that is it. Great. So not bad. It's pretty cool that we could do this, honestly. So now moving on from XPath Queries to event IDs. All right, here we go. When it comes to monitoring and hunting, you need to know what you're looking for. There are a large number of event IDs in use. This section is aimed at assisting you with that. So there are plenty of blogs, write-ups, and everything on this topic. The first resource is going to be the Windows logging cheat sheet for Windows 7 and Windows 2012. The last version of the update is October 2016, but it's still a good resource. The document covers a few things that need to be enabled and configured to look for event IDs based on categories like accounts, processes, log clear, etc. So this is what it kind of Wevtutil is. Use this utility to query your logs. QE security, query the security log for events. Lots of flags here, so read the helpful Wevtutil commands. The read 5 events we already know. Newest events first we already know. F-text, format text, also can do XML. So we've used all of those so far. Success and failed logons. User account change, new service installed, user account changes. All of those are available. This is just a snippet from the cheat sheet. So if you want to see the new service was installed, look for event ID 7045 within the system log, and that will show you. And so it has the event IDs for each one of these as well. So right here, right, new service installed, system event ID 7045, and then just the rest of that stuff, and it should give you the response that you're looking for. Spotting the adversary with Windows Event Log Monitoring is another resource. It's an NSA resource, and it's a bit outdated but good enough to build upon the foundation. The document covers some concepts in this room and then some. We can click on Get File to download the resource, which I guess would be inside the actual browser itself. You have the Windows Firewall. These are the firewall rules for event IDs and levels and event logs and event source, so on and so forth. The above is from the document. If you want to monitor if a firewall rule was deleted, the event is 2006 or 2033, which is right here. Where else can we get a list of event IDs? MITRE ATT&CK, of course. We've done a video on MITRE ATT&CK and the MITRE framework, so I highly recommend you go check that out. It's on the channel. And you can look at attack ID T1098 for account manipulation. Each attack ID will contain a section sharing tips to mitigate. And so detection, collect events that correlate with changes to account objects and or permissions on systems and the domains, such as events 4738, 4728, and 4670. So the last two resources are from Microsoft directly and Events to Monitor, and the Windows 10 and 2016 security auditing and monitoring references, which this is a screenshot of. So 1100 is the event logging service has shut down. 1102, the audit log was cleared. 1104 is the security log is now full, so on and so forth. So it's nice that the event IDs are attached to specific events, and you can now filter by those events. And if you have a cheat sheet of important events in the context of cybersecurity, for example, then you can filter for those events specifically, and it'll kind of speed up the process, and you'll have more of a streamlined process to find these things and mitigate and so on and so forth. So some events will not be generated by default, and certain features will need to be enabled on the endpoint, such as PowerShell logging, and this can be enabled via group policy or the registry. The local computer policy, configuration, administrative templates, Windows components, Windows PowerShell is where we would go inside the group policy to be able to enable or disable that. Some resources to provide more information about enabling the PowerShell logging. along with the associated events. So logging windows, visibility through PowerShell, configure PowerShell. These are some event codes of use. Another feature to enable and configure is audit process creation, which will generate the 4688 ID. This will allow command line process auditing. It is not enabled in the virtual machine, but feel free to enable it and observe the events generated after executing some commands. So this would be local computer policy, configuration, admin templates, system, audit process creation, and then we can go ahead and configure that. Event properties 4688 is process command line, which is what this would look like. So the process information and for the command line. And that is that. To read more about this feature, refer to the Microsoft documentation. The steps to test the configuration are at the bottom of the document, which would be right here. So try this, explore command line process auditing, and we can just follow all of these. So I wonder which one of these, we don't need to do any of these right now, but I guess we're going to put all of these theories into practice, combining everything that we just learned. So we're going to complete this particular task, and I'm probably going to be referring back and forth to all of these things that we just went through so we can answer the questions that are about to come up right here. So the next scenario questions are based on the external event log file titled merged EVTX, which is on the desktop. You can use any of the aforementioned tools to answer the question. So scenario 1, which is questions 1 and 2, the server admins have made numerous complaints to management regarding PowerShell being blocked in the environment. Management finally approved the usage of PowerShell within the environment. Visibility is now needed to ensure there are no gaps in coverage. You research the topic, what logs to look at, and what event IDs to monitor. You enabled PowerShell logging on a test machine and had a colleague execute various commands. The security team is using event logs more. They want to ensure they can monitor if the event logs are cleared. You assign a colleague to execute this action, and the threat intel team shared its research on Emotet. They advised searching for events 4104 and the text script block text within the event data element. Find the encoded PowerShell payload. And a report came in that an intern was suspected of running unusual commands on her machine, such as enumerating members of the administrators group. A senior analyst suggested searching for the net1 executable, confirmed that suspicion. So we are going to go straight up from the first series of questions. So the first 2 questions belongs to scenario 1, and then 3 and 4 scenario 2, 5, 6, and 7 is scenario 3, and 8 and 9 are scenario 4. So let's go and let's dive into it. So what an ID is to detect a PowerShell downgrade attack. And so we can go here and we can look at what was inside our PowerShell references to see if we can find a PowerShell downgrade. If not, we can just go to the website that they're referring to so we can check that whole thing out. So I kind of cheated a little bit and I Googled what the PowerShell downgrade event ID might be, and it could be either 400 or 4688. So let's try one of those two, and let's go over here and let's try 400 first, and that's the answer. Okay, very good. What is the date and time this attack took place? And so now we're going to search for that ID in our log file that we have. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to shrink this, and we're going to open up the merged document here. And so what we want to look for is the event ID 400, and let's see what we can find. The first appearance of this downgrade code, the event ID 400, was 12/8/2020, and the PowerShell event 400, and so on and so forth. So this is it. What is the formatting of this that we need to do, which is month, day, year, and the time. So I'm just going to see if I can copy this particular section and see if we can just paste it as our answer. This might not be the right answer, but it's not. Okay, so that is that. So let's try to see if we can find another event that has to do with the PowerShell downgrade. Okay, after a lot of trial and error trying to read this thing with the Get-WinEvent and trying to find the information that way, there is a way. I mean, this is kind of like the manual way that we could do this, and I guess it's not the preferred way, but it is possible to do it like this. So essentially what we're looking for is a difference in host version. So all of the hosts right here, and I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit so you can see all of the hosts, with the exception of one, are, this one also is actually downgraded as well. So all of them should be at 5.1. If you see right here in the host version right here, all of these say 5.1, right? And so when I go here, there is one up here that was host version 1, and then there's one at the top that's host version 2. So these are PowerShell downgrade, I think is what the phrasing of this was. So it says, what is the date and time that this attack took place? PowerShell downgrade attack. So it could be either of those two. The one that is host version 2 could be one. So we'll try this one. It could also be the one that's host version 1. So let's try host version 2. Okay, that's the one. But essentially, you're looking for the host version. And one of the big challenges that I had was that it couldn't even read the file that we were on. So because I was using log name, and instead of using log name, we're supposed to use path. And because it's a generated log that was created at some point, it's not one of the system logs. So if you want to read a log like that, you would need to use path, and then you declare the path that the log is actually on, and from there you can kind of start selecting the objects and the properties and stuff like that. So that was that's the furthest I got. I spent maybe a good 10-15 minutes on it, and I am limited on time because I want to make sure that I finish this recording in a timely manner. So I just resorted to manually searching through the log entries individually, and we just found it. So that is that question. Now we can move on to the next question, which is now questions 3 and 4. Security team is using event logs more. They want to ensure that they can monitor if the events are cleared. You assign a colleague to execute this action. So a log clear event was recorded. What is the event record ID? So the event record ID for log cleared, and I think we actually see that here somewhere. And we can go, and this is for firewalls. We can always go and, oh, there we go, it's right here. The audit log was cleared. So 1102S maybe, that might be it. So it's either 1102S or it's 1102. I'm gonna add some time to our machine so it doesn't die on me. So let's try that first. We're gonna do 1102S. That's not it. 1102. That's not it either. That's crazy. Okay, so log clear event was recorded. What is the event record ID? What does the hint say? Check XML view. Okay, let's see if it'll let me check it without crashing. So 1102 is the event ID for log cleared. So let's see if that even shows up here. Okay, so we did some online Googling and researching, and there are 2 different IDs that could be used for log manipulation when a log is cleared. So 1102 was the one that we just searched for and nothing showed up. So another one could be 104. So let's try to go and filter for 104 and see if we can get anything out of that. And we do. Very good. And let's see if I can get the details without it crashing. Oh, great. I got the details. Check the XML view. And the question is, well, what is the event record ID? So the event record ID is going to be in the XML, and it's right here. 27736. That's it. So 27736. That's that. Great. What is the name of the computer? So let's find that here. Computer name is this thing, PC01 example.org, and there's that. Now we're moving on to the next portion of this, which is 5, 6, and 7. The threat intel team shared its research on Emotet. They advised searching for event ID 4104 and the text script block text within the event data element. Find the encoded PowerShell payload. So what does our hint say over here? For XPath query, use oldest max events and pipe to format list. Okay. All right, so I tried this with the Get-WinEvent as well, and unfortunately I came up short. So we're going to resort back to the GUI, and we're going to filter it with the event 4104 this time, and it's going to give us a certain number of events, and what they're looking for is the oldest. So we're going to look at the script block text, and the specific hint right here was to use oldest, meaning go for the oldest, and see what we can find here. So we're going to go to the oldest of these things, which is from 8/25/2020, and the script block text is right here. So the question is, what was the name of the first variable in the PowerShell command? And the first variable, I believe, is this right here. So VA5 something something something. So I'm gonna try this one. Let's see if this is the proper. Okay, doesn't seem to copy. Let's see if it'll do Control C. If that works. That does work. Okay, cool. So I'm trying with the PowerShell first with the actual Get-WinEvent thing, and that doesn't seem to be working. So I may have to just resort to the GUI from here on out. So now question number 7, I believe, is that what we're on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, 6. We're on question number 6, which is still here. So the question is, what is the date and time that this attack took place? So it's this thing right here. We're going to copy that and go here. And what is the execution process ID, which is going to be under here, and we're going to look for execution process ID 6620 right there. So that's that, and that's that event. What is the group security ID of the group that she enumerated? So the suggested searching for system32 net1.exe, enumerating members of the administrator group, and a senior analyst suggested searching for that net1.exe. What is the group security ID of the group that she enumerated? Okay, upon some Googling, we found a website that shows us 2 different enumeration event IDs, and this is local group membership enumeration and the user's local group membership enumeration. So this is the user itself that is running it, and then there's the actual group membership enumeration, which is probably what this is going to be. And so 4799 is what we would need to filter for. And so if we go through here and change this to 4799 and filter that, and we got a few things that show up. And so it says group security ID of the group that she enumerated. So if I click on one of these things, there should be an SID, security ID. It says target SID. Backup operators built in, so Windows auditing. Let's see if there's anything that is administrators. Administrators, there we go. Target SID of administrators would be this probably. Let's see if this works. That does work, great. And what is the event ID? For this particular one, the event ID is, it's different. Is it a different? Yeah, event ID, 4799. That is what it is. It's the same one that we searched for, 4799. Okay, there we go. If I would have stuck to just using the GUI, which is this thing right here, our event viewer, this would have been much faster. but I was very much trying to figure out how to do it with the PowerShell commands and all those things, and I came up short. More often than not, I came up short. I was able to kind of do partial parsing of the log, but as you can see, a lot of it was failed attempts. So if you know what to do and how to search for the specific questions in this exercise using PowerShell, I would very much love to learn that. I even tried to use the Google AI to help me, just to see if I can maybe craft some better commands and stuff, and that also came up short. So yeah, if you can come up with any answers to that, I would love to hear from you in the comment section. Other than that, we use the event viewer, and I mean, there's a reason why there's a GUI for this, because it's a lot faster and easier and more convenient, and I know sometimes we don't get to have access to a GUI, so I totally understand that, but if you do have access to it, it feels like this might be the better way to go, unless you are extremely fluent in PowerShell commands in a way that you can just write these commands and parse through the file and find exactly what you need to find. So I am not there yet. I will be the first person to admit that to you. But I was very capable at finding it using Google, some basic Google searching, finding the event IDs that we need to find, and then going through the XML view and these different versions of the thing. So that is it for our Windows event logs room. And now we're going to jump into the conclusion. All right, in this room, we covered the event logs, what they are, how to query them using various tools and techniques. We also briefly discussed the features within Windows that you need to enable to configure to log additional events to gain visibility. The information is going to serve as a primer for other rooms covering Windows internal, Sysmon, and SIM tools. We have additional reading material, which is all of this stuff right here, that I will do in a bit. Definitely not in this particular recording, because I need to wrap this recording. But apart from that, that's pretty much it for the Windows event logs room. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you learned some good stuff from it. If you did find it useful, and if you found some good stuff from it, I would kindly request that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and maybe even drop a comment in the comment section, because all of that activity helps us with the YouTube algorithm so that we can get better reach and better exposure, so that we can expand the community, and all of that gives me more motivation to put out more of these videos for you. I don't ask anything else from you. I have nothing to sell, and I just would very much love your support. So any of those activities would help me out tremendously. You know, like, subscribe, turn on notification bell, and comment. And if you actually subscribe and turn on the notification bell, you'll be notified the next time a video comes out. And if you're studying for cybersecurity analysis, or if you're studying for ethical hacking or any of that stuff, all of these videos will actually be useful to you as well. So you'll be helping me and helping yourself, and it's a pretty good win-win situation. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite system and network attacker. I hope you got value from this room. If you did, please let me know what you learned in the comment section below. Apart from that, I will definitely see you in the next video. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Peace, love, and chicken grease. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.